Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm on the Lower East Side. I gotta go to Queens now. I was doing a little discussion. I got a little cut off after my discussion, before my discussion finished, about the congestion toll and what their plans are. There's been a lot of talk about that. People is getting crazy, and I don't blame them, you know, because there's too much up in the air, and you're trusting the city to tell you they're basically going to close off. South of 60th Street is going to be closed off to $23 toll, maybe more, maybe less. They're not really being too specific, and that's what's getting people crazy. People don't know what to expect. That's what's making people insane, and they keep going to these hearings because they're given 8 hearings to take all the complaints, but it's already been passed, so I don't know what the outcome will be because it's already been approved by the federal government as long as they get $1 billion a year in revenue. You know, as long as they keep that revenue up, the congestion toll stays. So yeah, that $1 billion a year is very important because that's what they require for the congestion toll to stay in effect. And I thought that was interesting because when you think about it, the federal government put their green light on it, but the city has to keep $1 billion in, but coming in minimum. And then they're saying the city's going to be greener, but how will it be greener if you have to have people driving and paying that toll? So I'm like confused. I really don't understand it. It's very confusing. I don't know how city planners are going to figure this one out. Don't get it. I hope it works out though, and I hope it works out so that people are not paying too much. There's a lot of proponents that are saying that it'll make the city better. The transit system will be very modern, but unfortunately the money, it's like a black hole with the MTA. Unfortunately, I hate to be pessimistic though, but I don't see it. But I'm hoping for better. But what I'm seeing is, I'm getting scared because inflation is already bad enough. Like you go down to the store to buy a few things and you're already at $100. I think I'm gonna start having to drive out of the city to get food, like because it's so expensive. Like I don't know. I'm really confused. As to how this is gonna work out. Just don't know. I'm very, very confused. I mean, I sincerely hope it does work out, but the problem is I see that the way they're talking, there's no exemption for motorcycles. Like, why would you do that? Like in London, if you want to copy what London did, then make the motorcycles exempt, because that's what they did. You know, if you want to follow the business model, you want less traffic. Motorcycles that obviously don't, I mean, this thing's one cylinder as opposed to a big car. You know, it doesn't take up hardly any space at all. It's about the size of a freaking mountain bike. So what gives? I just don't, I don't understand. If you guys could chime in to help me understand, because I don't get it, and maybe I'm just missing the whole thing. Like, what am I missing? Is it going to be better or worse? Because from what you can hear from people, they're just saying, why would you do this at this time? Like, people are already completely on edge. The rents are going up through the freaking roof. And then everything's just going through the roof. Nobody knows how they're going to pay for all this. You know, that's what's very confusing. And it's all up in the air. Like, they're saying that some vehicles will be charged multiple times. So if you go out of the congestion area and then come back in again, you'll be charged again. So how do they figure out which vehicles are going to pay and which are not? And then what happens if you do get charged anyway? What are you going to do? You're going to send a letter and show a picture of your vehicle and you have to battle with these people? So I don't get it. And the motorcycle thing, I'm really trying to keep an open mind, but I also don't understand why New York City would not exempt motorcycles. London had a lot of problems with the scooter boys, you know, robbing, stealing. They were going into the downtown area doing smash and grabs, you know. All that stuff was actually happening before the pandemic, and then they trained a special police force that ride enduros, you know, and they stopped all that shit. They nipped it in the bud, but those guys were going ballistic in the city. And you know, the interesting thing was they had no idea the pandemic was coming. They just attacked it with full force, and they nipped it in the bud. But if they didn't, can you imagine how fucked up London would be? Like, if those scooter boys were still running around and they didn't clamp down on that, they would have been fucking that place up right now, you know, due to the pandemic. But I think the motorcycle thing, let me know what you think. I think the city bailed on motorcycles because they just have zero respect for motorcycles, you know, because there's a good majority of people riding around this place completely fucking illegal, you know, and they just don't care about anything. So I guess they just said, fuck it. If they could declare motorcycles totally illegal in the city, they would, but they can't federally do that. It would be against the law. But they sure would love to, because they don't, you know, from the mayor down, they just can't stand motorcycles. And it's such a hard city to ride in all year round. And you see people do it, and it's hard, man. It's a hard life, you know. When it's cold out, it's a hard life. So I don't know why you wouldn't exempt that. But I guess we'll see what happens, you know. In the air, but it's a serious topic for people. You know, everybody's very, very upset about this, because not only does it raise your toll, it's going to raise the goods you buy here are going to go up, because every time a truck has to come in, that's not $23, it's $85, you know, when they go for the